Hi everyone, I'm LaTonya. Welcome to another video where I remind you to read a book by talking about books. This video today is going to be all about the reading rush, which just happened. I can tell you guys my results from when I created my TBR, and I had been very ambitious in the books that I chose. I can tell you that I only completed 3 books, which is very good for me. I feel that when I'm really determined, I could read about 3 to 4 books in a week. So that was pretty good for me. I wanted to read at least 4. Honestly, could have finished 5, but as I told you guys in my TBR video, I had exams. I had an exam that Friday, and I had 2 papers due also that Friday. So it was a lot. I read every single day of the readathon except for Friday, and I'll get into that and the books that I finished. Just a refresher, these are the books that were on my TBR. Yes, I had a 800-page book on my TBR, and if you're already wondering, no, I did not get to it. The reading rush had 7 challenges with a bonus challenge to read 7 books. As I told you, I only read 3 books, so I did not win that part of the challenge. The first challenge was to read a book with purple on the cover. For that, I chose The Birds and the Bees and You and Me. I did not get to this book. So, did I win the challenge for read a book with purple on the cover? Yes. But I'll get to that later. The next challenge was to read a book in the same spot the entire time. I tried doing that with a poetry book at work, but the way I was scheduling my reading, I ran out of work days before I finished the book, so like I wouldn't be able to read at work because I wasn't going to work. So that was Honeybee by Trista Mateer, and I didn't finish the book in time. The poems are good, I can tell you that. The poems are mostly about a relationship and a lesbian relationship, and I liked some of the poems, but it was coming off very needy, and I understand being needy in a relationship. But yeah, it was becoming like annoyingly needy, but I definitely want to finish it soon, so you guys will get a review about that soon. The next challenge was to read a book that you wanted to read last year, and I chose We're Going to Need More Wine. So this is the second book that I finished during the readathon, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. If you're a fan of Gabrielle Union, like, this is definitely a must read. And she's so funny. I knew she's a great actress, and she is a respectable woman, a successful woman, but you don't really know her sense of humor and how like humorous she is until you read this book. So it was really good, and I suggest it if you want to have a good laugh or read like nonfiction, read a celebrity's memoir, and get some insight into Hollywood. This was a really good book. Next, read a book with a non-human main character. I chose Shadow Shaper, and I got almost halfway through. So I really wanted to finish this for the readathon, but I couldn't. I was trying to read this book so that I can win the challenge for non-human main character and purple on the cover. But I told you guys I did win the challenge for purple on the cover. It just wasn't this book. And because I didn't finish this one, I didn't win a challenge for non-human main character. And I think that's the only challenge I didn't win. It's okay. I was enjoying the book a lot, and I just really want to finish it. So, next challenge, read a book where it's the author's debut. And I chose of Sophia of Silicon Valley. I did not get to this at all. And when I was planning out my schedule for reading the books, I felt, yeah, this would be the one that I would not be able to get to in time. And I was right, but there were other books I didn't get to as well. Next challenge, read a book and watch the movie adaptation. Because I didn't get to this book in time, I wasn't able to fulfill that challenge. I didn't watch the movie. And the last challenge was to read a book with more than 5 words in the title, and I picked The Last Voyage of Poe Blythe. I finished this book first, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I kind of cheated, and I started the book before the readathon. I had just reached the halfway point of this book the day before the challenge. I finished this book the Tuesday of the readathon. So you saw that I pretty much didn't read anything on my TBR. I only read these 2 books. And also, this book that wasn't on my TBR originally, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I think it was a successful readathon because I was able to finish 5 of the challenges. A book that I wanted to read last year, read a book in one place, and also a book with purple on the cover. You can see, like, there's a little purple right there. And I think there was one more challenge that I did get, but I can't remember what it was. Purple on the cover, read in one spot, 5 words or more, read a book you meant to read last year, read an author's first book. She's a celebrity, but this is her, she wrote a book, so she's an author, and this is her first book. So I completed 5 challenges with just 3 books. And that's not how I wanted to do it originally, but that's how it happened. And it was just a successful year for the reading rush. I got a lot of reading done, mostly because I had the audiobook for these 2, but everything else, like when I was reading Shadow Shaper and I got halfway through, I was doing the reading sprints on Twitter, and those really helped me a lot because I was just getting notification from the Reading Sprints Twitter account, and I would just sit there with my phone on, and I would wait till I see a notification pop up, and I just start reading with them. And it was a lot of fun because they'll say like, oh, we're gonna start right now and I'll read for 10 minutes straight, and I'll just go through, and usually I get like 7 pages in like 10 or 15 minutes, and it really helped me speed through the reading. And you see other people talk about what they're reading, and it's really exciting. This with an audiobook is so good because Gabrielle Union, she definitely has the voice for narrating. So I suggest if you want to read this book, you can definitely get the audiobook and be satisfied. And everyone should know by now that Elizabeth Acevedo, she narrates her books, and I listened to the audiobook for this. She is so good at narrating her characters, of course, because, you know, she knows what they're supposed to sound like, how the words flow and all that stuff. So when she reads from Imani's point of view, she is perfect. I love it. So I gave this book 5 stars. In comparison to The Poet X, I don't know, I think I like The Poet X better, but I don't know, something about this book in the perspective of motherhood from a teenager. I really like Imani. Both of them are really great stories. Hi guys, so you're going to have to hear my voice for the rest of this video because unfortunately my last video file that wraps up this video was corrupted. Before I end my Reading Rush wrap up, I wanted to show you guys the cool graph that was on the Reading Rush website. It corresponds to how many pages I read each day of the readathon. So at a wide glance, you see I read the most on Sunday. That's when I finished With the Fire on High. Day 1, I read 77 pages. All those pages were from The Last Voyage of Poe Blythe. Day 2, I read 253 pages. Those pages were from The Last Voyage of Poe Blythe, which I finished that day, and a bit of Shadow Shaper. Day 3, I just read 77 pages of Shadow Shaper, but I didn't finish Shadow Shaper at all. Day 4, I read 79 pages of Gabrielle Union's book, We're Going to Need More Wine. Day 5 was Friday, and I was busy taking my exam and sending my papers in, so I didn't read anything that day. Day 6, I read 122 pages, and that is when I finished Gabrielle Union's book. And I read a few pages of Shadow Shaper. Day 7, I read 402 pages, which was from reading Shadow Shaper and finishing With the Fire on High. All those pages equal 1,010 pages. I'm surprised I read that many pages with an upcoming exam. I did better on the exam than I expected, and I aced both my papers, so doing the reading rush didn't compromise my grades at all. And that's all I wanted to share. Thank you guys for watching, and since my anniversary just passed, I think I should put up a video to celebrate my 1-year anniversary on BookTube. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And again, thank you guys for watching. Bye.